Hello all, welcome to our Chalk Talk with Tony. I'm your host, Tmzoids, also known as Tony, and today we have a lovely guest, Soma Green, also known as Soma Green. How are you doing, Soma?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
I'm, that's good. I'm glad you're doing good. Beautiful day outside. Did you do anything before this interview? Go running, jogging,
Um,
baseball? No, not a sports
no.
person.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's usually because of my stream hours, I tend to get up later than the rest of the world because I stay up later as well.
Such a night owl. I come home from work and you're like streaming, and you stream very late into my time at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
But the first question, as always, we gotta find out how did you get the name Soma Green?
Um, so Soma is like a traditional family name. It kind of dates back to like I don't know. Hang on.
Are we talking like
Already, I'm like messing up the first question.
no, you're
Um,
good. Like, are we talking like 1900s, even before that? Like,
um, like it's supposed to be uh I have like a great ancestor that was like the first empress of some place, you know.
okay, and that,
Yeah.
and then you just like green, or is that just you added that on because, or
I think our last name was originally something else, but we changed it to Green when we came to the US, is what I'm pretty sure it happened. So,
that's very interesting. So, is there like a Soma blue, purple? Is there all different colors? No.
no,
Oh,
no,
I
no.
I was gonna say blue's my favorite color. I was hoping for sure, there'd be at least a Soma blue out there. Be like, hey, at least
People ask me about that sometimes.
so the green is actually the last name, which is interesting to think about it. But of course, as always, the first question we really want to know: how did you get into video games? When did it all start? I'm sure you were a wee girl when you were first playing video games.
That's funny too because I think Wii was my first system. Um, both of my parents played video games, so it was just always something. It was like television in my house. I grew up in a household that I don't know if it was non-traditional or not, but we always had video games. My father always played video games when he was growing up, so he like started with like Atari, and my mom was a little younger than him, and she had the rest of the systems. Like she was really into GameCube and those kind of things. So every time my parents would get a new system, we'd be given their old system. So um I had my brother and my sister and I just always gamed. It was just always something that we did in my family. It was like watching TV, it was like reading books. It was just a part of my everyday. um I think too because we moved so much. It became kind of like when you move to a new place and you haven't made new friends yet, there's always gaming. So
That's
it was
true.
always something that was involved in my life. So it it's never really been not a like it's always been a part of me, I guess.
Oh, that is good. That is awesome. The first thing I wanted to focus on, so your parents, you said your parents are big into video games. That's always a plus because it seems like it's a hit or miss. Either your parents are like, video games are cool, we'll play video games with you, or learn about video games one way or another. Or it's like the video games are the devil, don't play those things, you're gonna become a serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah. My my parents were very they let us play whatever we wanted too. So, there was never any regulation on what I could play, what I couldn't play. You know,
Really?
which I guess,
Dang.
yeah, I like,
That
yes.
So, what was the actual like first game game system or games you started playing?
Let me try to think. Um, I want to say, is it Super Mario Brothers 3 is the first one that I can think of that I can remember playing because I feel like that was the first time that, you know, my parents noticed that I was kind of pretty okay at video games with that one because, when I was younger, especially with platformers, I had very little patience. So I would always be speed running just naturally because I always wanted to beat the game as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the first game that, really got me some recognition, oh, maybe she's pretty okay at this.
Oh, I'd hope so. So you just had no patience, or was it like you'd play the game and as soon as there's a hard part, quote unquote hard part, when you were little, of course, you were like, forget this game, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to do, especially where, you know, you have this whole backlog of games and you're getting through all these games because my parents never got rid of a single game. So they have every game they've ever or had every game that they ever owned.
Mm-hmm.
So, between that and then, now I mean even after sorry, I'm like all over the place. Let me
No,
start again.
you're fine. Take your time. Just breathe.
Yeah. I mean, somehow magically throughout my entire life, it seems like everywhere I go, video games find me. So as a kid, my parents had video games, so here's all these video games. And then I worked in the video game industry for a little while, like when I was in school. And so I got all kinds of free games from that as well. So I feel like video games always seem to find me. It's just something that even when I'm not sure what I'm doing, they always seem to like pull me back in.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, Super Mario. The first question we got to get out here is Mario or Sonic?
I was always Mario because we didn't actually have a Sega growing up. I know.
Hmm.
I know. I can't believe it. But I didn't end up getting my Sega until probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And again, it was a magical moment because there was this woman, I didn't even know who she was, and she was looking to sell her Sega. And I was like, well, we don't really take that. And she's like, okay, can you just throw it away for me? And I'm like, so that's how I got my Sega.
I, oh, that would have been awesome. Be like, all right, free system.
Yes.
That's fine. So you didn't really have a Sega. I don't blame you because Sega, I guess, besides Sonic, I can't really think of games. Probably Sega fans out there are gonna be like, "What are you talking about? There's so many great
Yeah.
games." But I can't really think of another game that really represented the
Was
Sega.
I think Booger Man was exclusive to Sega,
Maybe.
wasn't it?
I
Was
have
it? I
no
don't know if it
idea.
was or not. I know I only have 3 games for it. I have like the regular one. I have 2 copies of the regular one. The lady had 2 copies. She has Booger Man, and then there was Batman. But I remember that. I'm pretty sure that came out
I,
for like every system.
yeah.
So
So you kept. Do you have all the systems that your parents owned? Now.
yes, yeah. I guess like I was the only one of my siblings who kind of stuck with the video game thing. So eventually I ended up with all of them because I'm super cool and I'm trying to have a collection of all the systems. So
So wait. Your brother and sister do not play video games anymore, is what I'm hearing? They do.
they don't. They
Oh my
don't.
goodness,
Yeah.
my heart. Why?
Yeah.
It's just too good.
I I I don't know. I don't know. It's really funny too because I feel like, a lot of the people around me don't, which I don't know. Like I said, growing up, I always assumed everyone played video games. It was never a question. I thought everybody watched TV and everybody played video games. So,
That's
you
what I
know,
did. I don't know about
yeah,
everybody else, but that's what I did.
yeah, yeah. I always thought that was just something everybody did.
Hey, well, like I
So,
said, it was the parents that either thought video games were alright, kind of get into them, or the people who are like, this is gonna make you a killer, video games are violent, don't
yeah,
let them play. Which,
yeah.
sad days. But you said you moved a lot, so video games helped you along the way. Is there like a specific system that you followed? Were you a PlayStation girl? Were you an Xbox girl? Even before that, Nintendo, kind of down the line.
I would say I was probably a Nintendo girl. Because, you know, the first system that was not Nintendo that we ever got was PS3.
Whoa.
So that was kind of my first, non-Nintendo system.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in life, I went back and got a PS2, just to have it. I got one of the rare backwards compatible ones, so it'll play PS1 games, even though I really don't have any of those, and PS2. And then I had a PS3 until last year. My house flooded, and I lost some stuff. So I lost my PS3, lost my Xbox. Before that, I had lost an Xbox that was just like one of those white ones that just die on their own. But it's really funny because I feel like I was Nintendo all the way through, and then all of a sudden the Xbox One came out, and I don't know what it is about that system or why. Probably the hack and slash games. Um, Maybe because I like the controls for Grand Theft Auto the most on that one, but I feel like it's so weird because growing up I never really had any Xbox systems, and then all of a sudden it's like what I do every day.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I was hoping you were a PlayStation girl. I was like, oh, she's a PlayStation fan. She's like, I got a PlayStation 3, and then I went back because I liked it so much. And then you're like, Xbox One, take it.
yeah, well, no, it is funny too because it's like I always had the PS3, and then I do have a PS4, and I tend to game a lot on my PS4 because a lot of my girlfriends play PS4. So, I ended up even buying Grand Theft Auto again on PS4, and then, I never even play it on there now. So, yeah,
So,
I've owned Grand Theft Auto on PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and then somebody bought me in on PC as well. So I have it
wow,
on everything
you're set. You're
except
covered.
360. Yeah.
So you would say you're more of an Xbox fan than a PlayStation fan.
I feel like I'm going through an Xbox phase right now. I feel like part of the reason was some of the exclusives that they had for the One. Um, when the 1 and 4 first came out, I was trying to play every single game that came out. And for a little while, I actually accomplished that. I was playing every single game that came out. And it seemed like, the exclusives that they had when they first came out, like Sunset Overdrive was one of my favorite games of all time. Dead Rising 3, really liked that game, especially when it first came out. I was like, this is game changing,
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I think N2 part of it is I never actually owned a Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah. The Wii U, I don't know. I just didn't think it was gonna take off.
It really didn't for the
It
Wii
did.
U fans. I'm sorry, but it didn't. Uh,
Yeah, I always forget because I always like to say I have all the Nintendo systems. No, I've never owned a Wii U. But I do have a Switch.
there you go. They redeemed
Which,
themselves, in my opinion, with the
yeah,
Switch.
yeah. Well, it's kind of tricky how I got my Switch too, though. Um, so when I first started streaming, this is a really funny story. when I first started streaming, I was playing all RPGs, mostly Final Fantasy, some like retro stuff because obviously I have a lot of like older games. And one of my friends said you should play Just Dance, and I was like, Just Dance, because that was
No.
that was that was always a game that I was like, I'm playing a video game. I don't want to move. What are you talking about? And so I was like, sure, I'll try it. And I played it, and they had a couple of Britney Spears songs on it, and I don't know, it just kind of caught me a little bit. So I started playing it a little more, and then all of a sudden I did this thing that I always do with new games where I just, get addicted to it, and I'm just like, I'm gonna do this all the time. So I started playing it a lot, and then I ended up getting, really, really good at it. I wasn't, can compete in the Just Dance World Cup good, but I was good enough that it's like I can superstar, I can megastar.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up becoming, part of my exercise routine. So then as I got more involved in Just Dance, they were having a Just Dance contest,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a contest for one of their songs, Make It Jingle. And
Sounds dirty.
so
Just a little bit.
well,
Sounds good.
they were having a contest for Make It Jingle, and they just said, upload a video of you doing the dance and stuff. So I did that, and I ended up winning, and I ended up getting a Switch and the Just Dance game from Just Dance.
That's pretty awesome that you won.
It
See?
was the best. It was the best because it was around Christmas time. You know, Christmas now is, once you're an adult, you're not really getting presents. So I didn't really get anything that year.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden in the mail, I open it up and it's like, Santa came, because it's like, oh my gosh, a Switch, which I never, never would have bought for myself. And then I also have the game. So it was like the best Christmas ever.
It sounds. I always like get packages, just open it up and you're like, yes, this is mine. This is
Yeah.
all mine. Oh man, that's awesome though that you won the competition. Have you done any other competitions while you were just dancing?
I haven't, but I keep an eye out for it because, Just Dance it is a really fun game. Like, it's changed a lot since it first came out. They always have, the pop songs every year, and, it's really good for, I'm a gamer. I don't like to exercise. Ugh. So I've tried a lot of the different, the Zumba games and the Step Up, and there was like a fitness thing for a while that I tried, and none of them really caught my attention the way that, Just Dance. It's like I could play that every night if
Mm-hmm.
it didn't kill me, because it is really a real workout especially if you're playing it with the Kinect, because I play it with Kinect. So if you're playing it with Kinect, it's reading your entire body. So,
Hmm.
it knows if your head's in the wrong direction. Whereas if you want to take it easier on yourself, if you play it with your phone instead, it it grades you a little easier. So
Good to know. Good to know the way to cheat is just get that phone. All right, I'm an expert.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Froggy, he tried it the other day, and he got a bunch of perfects. So,
I mean, you can't compete with Froggy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We don't want to get into Froggy right now, but we'll
Okay.
definitely talk about Froggy. To backtrack just a little bit here to Nintendo, what is your
hmm
favorite Nintendo system then so far, since you didn't get a Wii U, besides the ones you have? Or the ones that you have. Did I say that right? I said that
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah. Ooh, that's hard. That's hard. Um, I guess I would cheat and say Wii, because you can also play GameCube games on Wii. But
I'll
I guess we.
That's a fair one. I never got into the Wii. I must say, N64 was probably my favorite because you had Paper Mario on there, and was Paper Mario on there? Maybe not.
Paper
Yeah,
Mario was on there. Um,
that's when Mario Kart started. I mean, just these great games. Like,
Majora's Mask.
see, there you go. You know.
See, well, like N64 does have some of it. Well, but I could say the same thing about like Super Nintendo. Like I still like um the first Mario Kart. The first Mario Kart is still my favorite Mario Kart,
Was that
you
on
know.
N64 or was there one before that?
There was one on Super Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah. Have you not played it?
No.
Oh my gosh, you'll have to play it sometime. It's
I don't-
so fun. It's so fun.
now I gotta go back and be like, wait a minute. Now I'm like, I want to go play now. Anyway,
Yeah.
so you went from Nintendo, you got onto the Xbox, the hack and slash, and then you got into the Just Dance kick. Uh, do you see yourself playing any other competitions besides Just Dance, like for video games in itself, or?
Um, I mean, they they don't really do like tournaments or anything in my area. So, but I mean, I don't know. I always like to hang on. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like I still have that like I want to try every game spirit. So it's even games that I don't think I like, I eventually try.
Hmm.
So I think because of that, I'll find really random games. Like if I have a knack for a game right off the bat, usually it'll develop into a relationship that I have with the game.
Very
So,
interesting.
yeah.
And then on top of that, what is your favorite game? I guess series maybe. It doesn't even have to be.
Series.
It doesn't have to be a series. It could just be your favorite game on on a console game.
Um, I mean, it's either got to be it's either got to be Zelda or Final Fantasy, but I feel like those are like the most
No, I mean,
that's like
it's
what
a,
but that's like what everyone says. But if I were to show you right now, like I have like an entire shelf of just like my Zelda stuff, and then I have these boxes where I keep all of my or these box shelving. And I have one that's like just Final Fantasy. So but that's just so everybody says that.
I am kind of surprised because like I like these hack and slash games, and I mean Zelda's kind of hack and slash. I mean a very
Not
tame hack.
really. No.
It's a very
No.
tame hack and slash, but
Oh, it's weird because I don't know. My tastes are so random. My tastes are so random because if you ask me what I like to play, I think what I want to play, I always want to play hack and slash. I always want to play like a Grand Theft Auto. I want to play a game that I can jump in and start killing stuff right away.
mhm.
When you ask me about like my history, or if you start getting into like what are my favorite games of all time, all of them turn out to be RPGs, which is hilarious because for the longest time I said that I hated RPGs, and then as I'm like going through, all of my favorite games have been RPGs.
Well,
So I mean, I can remember being like a little kid and playing, what was that game that my dad had? It was like Mario Superstar, I want to call it. I think it was. And that was like the first game that I beat, I think, as a kid. And that was an RPG. That was on N64. Did you ever play that one?
maybe it sounds familiar, but off the top of my head, I don't remember. But going off that though, I mean, how could you hate RPGs now I think about it? Like I'm like thrown back by that. I'm like, damn.
No.
There's so
No,
much.
I've never, I guess I've never hated RPGs, but like somebody was like, okay, list your favorite type of games, and I was like, okay, well, hack and slash platformer, and then like, you know, I'm like naming them all, and then my friend was like, wait, all of your favorite games are RPGs though, Soma, and I was like, mm. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
I don't know if you're like disgusted by it or like, or like you're just like, oh, I just never noticed and it's all right. Like I'm coming to accept it.
I never noticed, I guess. I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. I think it's because there's such a disconnect in what I play by myself versus what I play with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And versus what I get drawn into. Like part of the reason why I, you know, because growing up I had access to like all the games. So, and I still tended to be more drawn to these like older games because these older games would have like a storyline and would have these characters that you care about.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of modern games or next gen games, they're not putting the same kind of thought into whether or not I like the characters, either that or they're just creating characters that I don't care about, you know?
I mean, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Did you ever play Mass Effect?
No.
I feel like that's a game you would like because it's
Yeah.
like it's got the kind of hack. Well, it's not really hack and slash, but
I
it's got
think
the
I even
fighting.
have that on my Xbox, you know? And I haven't played it yet.
I mean, there's still plenty of time. Plenty of time.
I know. Well, it's funny because like now that I stream, I don't game again. I'm gaming so much less now. Like,
you just gotta find a balance. You gotta
yeah.
always find a balance.
Yeah.
But since you talked about Final Fantasy and you talked about Zelda, you know the tough questions are coming now. We'll start with Zelda because that's probably a little bit easier. Favorite Zelda game and why? The oh shit look right there, like oh god, if I say this one, these people like me. If I say this one,
Well, it's actually gonna be it's probably gonna be one of the N64 ones. I just have to decide.
I was gonna say nobody ever says Breath of the Wild. I'm just saying that here because like it's newer, but I haven't heard one person be like, "This is my favorite Zelda game." It's always
Well,
the older ones. I'm not trying to
well,
persuade your opinion one way or another.
no. Well, I think I don't. It's weird because I feel like Zelda, the games, they're obviously all like kind of the same, following kind of the same storyline, and they have kind of the same characters.
Mm-hmm.
The games are so drastically different. Like I even have the two of the regular Nintendo games. And it seems like all of the Zelda games from regular Nintendo up until N64, all of a sudden at the N64 cutoff, all of a sudden the games changed and they became, well, 3D first of all, or
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts as 3D, but all of a sudden it became more about the characters, and any game that you can explore villages, like Secret of Mana was like one of my favorite games growing up because I loved how you could like talk to every single person in the village and they all had different things to say, and you know, anything like that where you're exploring and there's all these secret things to find. Anything like that I love. So all of a sudden when you got to N64 there was tons of that. Like I felt like I could like live in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you got to Wii, I feel like Zelda changed a little bit again. And it kind of took, you know, aspects of the first games, but didn't pick up like the towns. They didn't have as many towns
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing. So it kind of became a almost different style of gameplay. So, and then Breath of the Wild, I feel like they were kind of going back towards the N64 versions. So I did appreciate that about the game.
But your
So,
favorite one would be.
ah,
You thought you could
I
be like,
know,
yeah,
yeah.
I like this one and a little bit of this. I mean, people are gonna
I
judge
guess,
you either way, you know.
yeah, no. I think I'm gonna say probably Majora's Mask.
That's not a bad one. See, that you make it sound like you would pick the one that nobody likes. I feel like
Well, it's weird to, you know, it's weird to pick a favorite because the games are so different,
that's
you
true.
know?
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You would like each game for what it's worth or what it has in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you get attached to games. I don't know if this happens to you, but I'll play like any game that I played as a little kid and I enjoyed, like the Pokemon games. You know, you
Mhm.
play those as a kid and you love them, and then as an adult you go back and it's the same game and you still love it. But I feel like some of the games that I loved as a kid, I would never play now.
I
So,
mean, yeah. I think just because taste and just you develop as a gamer, which is sounds weird, but as a gamer, you kind of know what you like. Like you said, you like your hack and slash, you like your platformer game, and mix them all
yeah.
together.
Well, and I used to be the opposite of that for a little while. Like I used to play a lot of Animal Crossing, and
Oh,
Harvest Moon was my favorite game for a while.
oh no. Uh, it happens though. Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. I know Animal Crossing fans out there like, what did you say about Animal Crossing?
Well,
And
Animal Crossing it's a different style of game. It's like a social non-social game. So, you know, I really liked that, and I really liked how realistic all the animals in Animal Crossing were. You know, you can carry on conversations with them and go, and they send you back and forth between them, and I don't know.
I,
I was really into customization for a little while. I liked that you could build up your house and
no, I
make t-shirts. That was cool. I made my own t-shirts.
You seem like a person that would be like at the character screen spending like 4 hours. All right, his nose is this long and it's this curved.
Well, it's funny because I feel like I used to be more into that, but then now I'm just like, I don't care what my character looks like. Let's go. Like I was playing Fortnite the other day and they just kept changing my character on me and I'm like, whatever. Let's play. Let's play.
I mean, I just never. I mean, I appreciate the customization and what games do that, but at like one point I was like, I'll spend a little bit time on it. I guess if like it was an MMO, I spent a little bit more time than it was just like, oh, nobody's gonna see me. Who cares? Just keep going.
I think I was spoiled with customization because of some of the MMOs that I've played. Like some of the MMOs where you have, unlimited hair that you can pick from and unlimited outfits and all these different things that you can do. And then you go back to games that are pretty similar. Um, like even Grand Theft Auto, you can change your outfits and your hair and stuff. But I get angry about the like choices that you have in there. I'm like, that's it. Like my hair can look like this or this, and those are my only options. Come on, you know.
No, I get you. I get you. Uh, but I guess I keep saying backtrack, but to go back to Final Fantasy now, a little bit tougher now because this is where all the fans are gonna be like, okay, favorite Final Fantasy game. People are gonna be like, oh, it's always this one. What is it, 7 or 8? Everybody's like, it's always 7. It's always
I'm
that
not gonna
one.
say 7. I'm not gonna say 7 or 8. I'll try to think of a tricky one.
Like I said, you don't have. I'm not trying to persuade your opinion. If you like it, you generally like those. You can pick those. You don't have to go against the normal. But while you're thinking about that, I say this all the time on these interviews, but I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I've seen people
Really?
really
How have
like
you? How? How? Are you sure? Did you have a Super Nintendo?
I did have a Super Nintendo. I just I played Mario, and I think I wouldn't say we were poor, but it's like you had the
Yeah.
games you had, and it was like,
Yeah. Well, Final Fantasy is weird too because it's like they did. I get confused with the numbers and stuff because there was like a lot that came out all at once and stuff. I gotta show you something though. Side note. I'm gonna decide right now which one's my favorite. Um. mm, 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 mm. If gosh, I don't know.
there's not one where you're like, wow, I have a lot of memories. This one made me cry. This one made me laugh. This one.
No. Oh gosh, look at my hair. Can I have 1 second?
Yeah, take your time.
Okay.
Take your time.
I thought I had all of them too, but I guess I am a couple. Ew, I don't know.
Well, do you have a favorite Final Fantasy character?
Actually, you know what? I could be annoying and answer that Secret of Mana is my favorite Final Fantasy.
Really?
That'll get some people angry. Cause not everyone admits that that's part of the Final Fantasy games. So
You just really like ruffling the feathers, going against the norm, be like, yes.
well, everybody's gonna be like, this one. Like everyone's gonna say that. So
I mean,
ooh. Sorry. I was just like, I could totally cosplay this outfit someday. Anyway.
so are you really going with your Secret Mana as the
Yeah. I'll go that. Well, either that or like Final Fantasy Tactics, I guess. Final Fantasy Tactics.
I have no idea, like if they're good or bad. Like I said, never played a game, never. So,
Yeah.
so do you have a favorite Final Fantasy character though?
Not really. Not really. I mean, yeah, not really.
I mean, even though I haven't played Final Fantasy, I really
Yeah.
enjoy Vivi. I don't know why, but like I just think he's a cool character from what I know of Vivi, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Like sometimes in games I'll like fall in love with a character or something, you know.
Mm,
You know how that is, but I never really had that happen with Final Fantasy.
really? That,
Yeah. Which is weird because I feel like that's the one that everybody's like, they're going to marry one of the Final Fantasy characters, but
you're probably making so many Final Fantasy. They're like probably screaming at their computer. What do you mean you like this game? Final Fantasy Tactics? What are you doing?
I know. I shouldn't have said Tactics. Probably not Tactics. But I'm like, well, I own Tactics on like 2 different systems, so that must be my favorite, right? I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't know. I think part. Oh my gosh, that scared me. Sorry, my roommate. Yeah, it's funny because like I used to show my roommates on stream, and then because chat got so weird, we stopped doing it.
That is, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's good in the long run, but it's kind of like also sad because it was funny, especially like I remember there was one night I was playing and Veronica didn't realize that I was streaming while I was playing, and she like came in 'cause she was like a little drunk, and she just like walks in and she's like, "How are you playing?" And I'm like, "I'm streaming." So
So, we'll just stick
Can
with
I
that.
change? Can I change it to Final Fantasy 2? No, Final Fantasy 3. I
Final,
picked 3.
is
I
that
picked 3.
is it just
That's
because
my final answer.
is it just
3.
because it was on top? Is that why?
Final answer. 3. 3.
That'll probably make people happier. We'll just say.
Okay, we'll just go with 3.
Oh man. Oh, okay. So, moving forward though, going into MMOs, I'm guessing these are on the computer, or are we talking still on like Xbox? Not really.
Um, it's funny because majority of the MMOs that I played were on computer, obviously. But like now I don't play anything on computer at all. Mostly that's because like I'm working on getting a computer so I can do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because it's like if I try to stream and play on computer at the same time,
Hmm.
it doesn't work.
So, is there a specific MMO that sticks out to you that you played a lot, or you talked about customization earlier, so there has to be one where it's like, I played this all the time. I was a wizard. I destroyed things.
um,
It must be either really embarrassing.
yes.
Is it?
So I used to like I one of my friends, okay, so one of my friends who used to play WoW, she'd be like, "Oh, all my friends are playing this other game at the same time. They're like, we're all playing Second Life." So I'm like, "Wait, you're playing WoW and Second Life at the same time? What is this Second Life?" So I got into that game because that's, a user made game. So there's a lot of different things to check out, and that's it's still I get so much crap for having played Second Life and having liked it, but it's still to this day one of my favorite games of all time, just because of the customization and because of everything is on there. So if I decided that I want to go kill zombies one day, there's a place I can kill zombies. They had the best haunted houses I've ever seen. They had really abstract art kind of things. I went into one land that a German college had made, and it was Picasso paintings that you could walk around. So imagine, classic paintings, but you can walk into them and turn around and look to the left and right as if it were a real world. And just seeing that made me very excited for the future, very excited for virtual reality and just all of the art possibilities that will open up,
Hmm.
now that we have this. And since, individuals can create these amazing things. So it's a lot of fun.
I have no idea. I didn't even know that was an MMO, to be honest with you. I must be a terrible gamer now that I think of it. Jesus, ah.
It's a little more obscure. I mean, like my whenever my friends ask me what's Second Life, I'm always like, it's like Barbies. It's like playing Barbie.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's like Minecraft with cuter outfits.
okay, that's one way to put it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
But you played
Yeah.
World of Warcraft. Did you get into WoW really, or not so much? You were like, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say anything.
The WoW fanatics won't get mad. I'm sure it's fine. It's not.
Yeah. I don't I think it was mostly just the any game that I have to pay. Like it's bad enough that anything that I have to pay for, I don't really play, just because of like, um cost. With stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah.
Makes it no, it makes sense. $15 a month, and then a new expansion comes
I
out,
know.
and
Yeah.
$30
Just
there, and then
yeah.
it's gotten better though because now you can. Back in the day, you had to level up 20 characters if you needed a DPS or this that. Now you can dual spec and
Oh,
all this.
I'm so cheap. I'm so broke that it's like I play whatever people give me too. Like I wasn't even though I'm super excited for like obviously oh my camera's backwards, but obviously I'm excited for the new Fallout and I had actually put it that, I'm like, okay, if I end up um getting this game somehow, if it magically comes to me, like how I make all my games magically come to me, I'm like, then I'm gonna play it. But if it doesn't, then I'm not gonna play it. So
Hey, one way you gotta do what you gotta do. Some people, video games aren't cheap. That's the problem.
no, they're not. Yeah,
sixty
yeah,
dollars a pop, and then you got to keep up with the system, and then computers. Your computer only goes so many years until you're like, oh, okay, well, it's time to upgrade this.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I get you, I get you. But since we're on to the computer now, the best part, of course, is why we made this interview. The first part, Twitch. The first question, of course, the obvious question: how did you find Twitch?
Um, I first found Twitch through a couple of friends of mine were talking about it, and I was like, what are they talking about? So I went on it and I signed up, and I didn't really do anything with it at first. I just kind of had my account. Um and yeah. So yeah, that's how I guess I heard about it cuz one of my friends was like, "Oh, I started streaming on Twitch." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So cuz I think Twitch is still in a space that a majority of people don't know what it is. Obviously,
Mhm.
if you're a gamer, it comes up at some point, but you know, almost none of my uh, friends um, even know what Twitch is. I had to explain it to all of them.
That must have been the greatest conversation. It's this thing. I put on my camera, and you're like, "Oh, you're a cam girl. You're a cam."
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I didn't even know what that was until I started Twitch. Like I was always under the impression that that was like a thing that not many people did, and I was just completely unaware of like all this, you know. I had no idea, and then I find out that there's like tons of sites and like so many like girls have done this, and I didn't even know it was a thing. So like all these sites that people are like, do you stream anywhere else? Blah blah blah, and I'm always like, yeah, I stream on YouTube. Not knowing that there's like all these like shady sites and stuff. You know.
Oh, so you found Twitch. You made a username. You didn't really use it though. So did you follow anybody? Like, did you watch anybody? Did you watch like League of Legends? Did you watch World of Warcraft?
I didn't watch.
Did you watch your friend that was streaming? No.
No.
Damn.
What did I watch? Yeah. Yeah, maybe don't include that in the interview.
It's on. It's in the interview. It's known. It's like
Yeah. His show was super boring, so I was like, Twitch is boring. Click. No.
yeah.
I was like, I gotta get in there and get my name. Cause, whenever there's a new thing, whenever there's like a new whatever, I always have to like go in and make sure I get my name.
hmm
So Twitter, I didn't join until after Twitch, so I didn't even get my name on that. There's somebody else who has SomaGreen, some dude.
So disappointed. You're like, ah.
Let me think. Um, who did I start watching? You know, Alinity was probably the first person I watched. Um, because I remember there was a link under one of my videos that was like other users like this user. So I was looking at what I was getting grouped into. And I found her channel first, I guess. So I guess that was the first uh, streamer that I ever
Hmm.
saw.
Interesting.
I guess I tend to watch like unknowns, I guess. I don't know. I guess I try to be aware of the bigger streamers. You know, I try to watch bigger people, but I don't know. I spend so little time now watching Twitch because, you know, I'm on it all
Okay, I
the
get you.
time.
So,
So
how did it all happen? How did you get into streaming? Like, so you made your name and you're like, I don't really watch anybody. Then how did you get into the aspect of streaming?
well, at first I played occasionally when, you know, my friends would come over and they kind of had more of a following on, you know, the internet in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing with that. Like, I think I want to say Overwatch was the first game that I played on stream, actually, and it was like when it first came out. Um, and then of course it blew up, and I never played it again. But I was just kind of like casual about it. I would play usually at holidays. Like, um, I I started on Twitch for real. It was I started on Twitch for a really different reason than most people. I think most people start on Twitch because they see an opportunity for them to play video games for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started Twitch as like, you know, I started playing just on holidays because I know for me personally, I tend to be extra lonely around, you know, holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a way for me to like hang out with people and be like, hey, let's all hang out. I'm here too. Don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
So I really liked that part of that of my streams. At this point, I didn't even know that you're supposed to stream in a category. So the first 3 months I streamed, I wasn't under a category at all. So you know, so at first it was like really small groups, but you know, people were like, hey, this really helped me. And eventually I just got to a point in my life where I just did some, you know, self-reflection, and I realized I wasn't happy in what I was doing. I wasn't happy in really any aspect of my life. So I decided to just say, forget it. Let's just, I was starting to see some growth on Twitch. I was like, let's just try this. Let's go for this. This would be my dream to perform. I don't care what I'm doing as long as I'm performing. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to be an entertainer. So let's see where this takes me.
Very, very inspirational. I mean, it's nice that you streamed like on holidays because you were like, you didn't want to be alone, but then also you were there for other people who like felt alone. So that was also
Yeah.
like,
Like my first biggest stream, rather than random fluke streams, I'd get like a bunch of people randomly sometimes. My biggest stream was Valentine's Day last year. I had the most people watching on that day. So, and you know, it was fun. I decorated my living room and I dressed up like I was going on a date, and we just like hung out and played video games, and it was a lot of fun.
very nice, very nice. So you made the jump. You are completely Twitch 100%. This is like your job pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. This is my job now. This is I'm all in. I'm all in.
Was was that scary? Because I know at one point you're like, I want to do this, but I don't. Were you at that point where you were like, I can do it, or did you just say, I'm just gonna put 100%, and then if it's all or nothing.
I
I know,
um
loaded question.
well, it's tricky. It's tricky. It's like, I was um I was going through such a rough time that I didn't care if I succeeded or not. So I was just like, I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work out, well, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're happy now, though. It's worked
yeah,
out.
I
It's
mean,
worked out.
it's obviously I've gotten to the point where I'm able to, support myself. When you start streaming, um, I I don't know what it's like for other streamers, but it was a good, year
Hmm.
like into streaming before I got to the point where I'm like, now I can say, okay, you know, I'm gonna be okay now, But you still, I mean, it's so up in the air, and there's so many aspects to it and different moving parts that you have to be prepared um to know that it may or may not work out. You just have to jump into it and hope that it does. You just have to have a lot of like faith. So
So sometimes you just gotta just jump feet first or head first, depending on the situation, I guess. But uh,
yeah.
but since we're still on this topic here, since this is your full-time job, of course you're partnered. Let's talk about partnership a little bit with Twitch. How many times did it take you to get partnered with Twitch?
Um, the first time I applied was when I first started, before I knew anything about it. I just wanted to see what would happen. So obviously I was denied the first time. The second time I applied was after I unlocked the path to partnership. And I did not make it the first time that I applied. Um, the second time I applied, um, about 3 months later, I made it. So, um, yeah.
Well, that's super exciting. Very,
Yeah.
very exciting. So let's focus on your Twitch channel, and then we'll talk more about Twitch and abroad afterwards. So first things first, let's bring out Froggy here. Let's talk about Froggy. Who is this guy? What's with the frogs? There's more than one. I think we see a few around, but of course there's a main captain here. What?
Um, Froggy is okay. Right before I started Twitch, I knew I was going to do something with performance. So I kind of did this pilot for a children's show.
Mhm.
And Froggy was one of the characters in that. And I never showed anybody that. I showed like a couple of my friends. But, I was used to putting my frogs, because he's kind of the stream mascot. I was used to putting him in the shot. So anytime I would stream, and I still do this to this day, I'll put him somewhere, and then it's kind of like, where's Froggy? So people can look at my stream and, find him somewhere. It's tricky that he's green, so whenever I use my green screen, he can blend in a little more.
Mhm.
But any stream I do, he's gonna show up. And eventually somebody was like, why doesn't Froggy ever talk? And it was funny because Froggy was the first character that I introduced on my channel, because I'm always just kind of me,
Mhm.
but I wasn't really sure how the audience would react.
Of course, yeah.
So somebody was like, hey, why hasn't he ever talked? And I just said, okay, let's have him talk. And they didn't know that, I have this completely developed voice for him already. So
That is awesome. That
So
is really cool.
he just came out and started talking, and everyone was shocked, and I just got such a reaction from people that I, continually bring him out every once in a while. Or if the chat gets too riled up, sometimes he'll come out and be like, "Hey kids, relax." So
So he's like the mascot slash like leader of the stream almost in a way.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of the mythology around the stream is around Froggy's backstory. So
Do you want to go into Froggy's backstory a little
yeah.
bit there?
So Froggy is actually from another planet in a different solar system. He's from a planet where it's just all frog. And he's not actually a frog like how we use frogs on Earth,
Yeah.
but they're called froggies. And so they have different outfits and different personalities, but they have spaceships where they travel around space, and they pretty much save the world over and over again. So they like humans. They think of us as like cats. And they just wanted to save save us and save the world. So that's kind of what the froggies do.
So two things on the Froggies. Before we get into the saving world part, Froggy does just dance, of course. Other things. So he also participates in the games and stuff you do, besides like, of course, him just showing up and be like, "Hey."
He for a long time on Sundays, he would play Grand Theft Auto every Sunday. And that was extra funny because, he's running around and other people in the game can hear his voice, and he kind of sounds like they will call him a squeaker, because if your voice is like high pitched and they can't place,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who you are, they call you a squeaker. So I think Froggy, I think a lot of the younger kids can relate to Froggy, and like, how people will treat Froggy, because they're used to people being really thrown off by somebody coming in with such a high voice. So, especially when he goes around and just kills everyone. So that's funny too.
As long as he has funds, that's what matters.
Well, he's like, I'm shooting you. I'm shooting you with my love bullets. These are miniature hugs for you. He'll say things like that as he's like, sniping people.
So, have you decided on developing other characters besides Froggy? I know you have other frogs, but they don't.
Yep. Um, like Froggy will have. I'll have to give you the link to the Froggy, the Power Rangers video that I did, because that has like a little skit with like a bunch of them all in one place. Um, but I've done different characters for myself as well. So I have a character that I do whose name is Cassie, and she is this woman who lives above a cannoli shop in Boston, and she has a really thick accent. And then I have a character that I usually call Soma Pink, or some of my characters call her like, different versions of like anime names,
Mm-hmm.
because she's pretty much um, the anime character voice. So she's supposed to be a play on how exaggerated female voices in anime tend to be. Um, so that was another voice that I had, in the bucket already. So I was like, all right, here's another character. So usually you can tell if I'm her because I'll be blonde suddenly. So, and I'll wear pink a lot too.
Hmm.
Um, I have characters base. Oh, I have Bobby Ross. I forgot. Bobby Ross was the first character of myself that I introduced. I wasn't sure how people would take me suddenly being different characters. And it's funny when people first discover me as one of my alts instead of Mimi, because then they come back and I'm suddenly completely different and speaking differently, and you know. But Bobby Ross is obvious. It's the female version of Bob Ross, and I did that over a year ago. I did it on April 1st because I figured if it went really poorly, I could pretend it was just an April Fool's joke. So, but it ended up doing so well that it was my first reoccurring character. So
Very nice. Very nice. So there is a possibility there will be a Soma Blue in the future, is what we're getting at.
it could happen. I mean, I guess maybe Soma Blue could be like one of my male characters or something. Like I haven't really done any male characters except for Frank so far. So
There's a possibility. Also, cannolis are very good, by the way. If you haven't had a cannoli,
yes.
I'm just saying, you should have a cannoli.
Yeah.
But back to Froggy saving the planet. This is important because I caught this on stream, and maybe not everybody caught it. It is the question of you being the Oracle. I know this kind of results back to kind of your name in kind of a sorts. Not really, but it does.
Yeah, like the part of the story behind it is Froggy's also a time traveler. And part of what he's doing is whenever he's trying to save the world, there's people after me right now that want to exploit whatever powers I have. I haven't looked into it too much. I'm not really aware of the extent of what I can do. But somehow these people know what my destiny is, and Froggy knows what my destiny is. So Froggy is keeping me in hiding. So that's why I always stream from his ship or from the 90s. We hide out in the 90s sometimes. Sometimes we're in the 80s. But we have different places that we're going to. We opened up a bar on Mars. I should say that's my job. Technically, I'm a bartender for the bar on Mars. So
That's very interesting. I figured the Oracle story when you said it on stream very caught my attention, so I was like, I have to ask that. I have to make sure to
yeah,
put that in there, which makes sense back to the whole SomaGreen like many years ago, centuries ago. It all just
yeah,
all plays a part.
yeah. I think part of that too was the viewers because on Sundays I like to do the meditation streams where I just lead people in meditation, which meditation was something that I've always been into. Um, because it's just helpful to try to focus, try to calm, try to not be moving so fast all the time.
Mm.
um but I also started doing like the fortune telling, and because um what I've been telling people has been so accurate, people keep coming back and asking for, okay, what's going to happen to me this week? What's going to happen to me this week? So I have gained a little bit of traction from that, just from it getting out that, you know, I'm pretty good at getting it right on the money. So
So, isn't it hard to read cards or do that when they're not in person, like you're doing?
yeah, yeah, I think that's just a testament to, God, that sounds so weird. I was gonna say, I think that's kind of a testament to my abilities because, if a person is there in person, you can kind of read the person a little bit
Yeah.
and, know where you want to go with it. But absolutely everyone that I do readings for, I tend to not know who they are. I don't even know if they're a boy or girl. I know nothing about them. So I'll just say whatever I see and then just let them interpret it however they want to. So it's kind of like all of the interpretation is taken off of me and put it onto the person.
Hmm.
So,
So it's more like a broad thing. It's not like specific. Like tomorrow somebody's gonna ask you to marry them.
No, I mean, like occasionally I'll get like I named the room number where somebody was going to be staying at a hotel.
Ooh,
That was kind of
that's
creepy.
that is spooky.
And
That is a
yeah,
little
and one of my girlfriends who hadn't been on a date in like 6 months, I told her she was going to meet two guys and she would like the second one more than the first one, and that ended up happening. um last year I told one of my friends that he would win the US Just Dance World Cup, and he didn't. Not the World Cup, the placement for the US. I
Mhm.
told him he was going to win, and he didn't actually think he was going to win, and he ended up winning.
Wow.
um Let me think of anything else that I can think of that is like more like specific stuff. I can't think of anything
Wow.
else at the moment.
That's okay. So besides the competition, do you think that in a way that their brain, you kind of like, I'm not trying to like display your reading, but do you think like you kind of influence them like, for example, you said your girlfriend hasn't been on a date for 6 months, and then you tell her she's gonna be two guys, which she did. You know, you weren't wrong about that. But you said you like the second one. Is that you think that was in the back of her mind, like, oh, I have to like this guy a little bit more because Soma sees something that I don't see, or I'm not
um
I'm not trying to downplay
yeah,
your
yeah,
your
yeah.
reading.
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, it's like fortune telling is so abstract anyway, and you try not to. I always try to tell people, this is just for fun. Don't take this too seriously because you don't want to. Like, I would hate to think that somebody was doing something because, I said,
This or that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I thought of one. Of one of my regulars, I saw that he was gonna get a promotion at work, and there was no way. Like, he was like that. I was like, even as I was saying it, I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then it turned out he did get a promotion at work.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's insane.
yeah,
That is spooky.
yeah, yeah.
Spooky. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the first time I ever did the fortune telling, I was like, guys, this isn't gonna work. I was like, just so you know, this isn't gonna work. And then it just like kept working. So it kind of turned into a thing. So
I'll have to test you one day and be like, I'm here,
yeah.
I'm ready for the
Yeah.
reading. But so the main, well, I would say this is your main thing is ASMR. This is oh God, I don't even know. This is like a broad, huge, like in a way controversial, weird topic because you find people who just like, this doesn't do anything for me, but they do their own thing. I don't care. And then there's people who are like, these people are weird. They're
Yeah.
whispering in my ear. And then for people who don't know, really quickly, ASMR is like you're very relaxed. You whisper, and you get the sensation. She'll probably explain it better than I can, but you consider yourself an ASM artist?
Here, give me 1 second. Sorry, apparently we like caught a animal in the backyard. So.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Anyway, back to ASMR. Um, I first heard about ASMR on YouTube. And when I was beginning Twitch, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And at that time, there was only one streamer streaming ASMR, Kitty Claw. And I was like, well, I guess it is a thing that people would be interested in. And, I've always been into performance art because I was always into theater.
Mhm.
And performance art is a lot of fun because it kind of challenges people's ideas as to like what is this, what is art, what are you doing. So that kind of realm kind of lends itself to um uh ASMR as well. So it was kind of something I was already familiar with. And then when you're creating the noises for ASMR, a lot of the things that I guess people describe as triggering them or the sounds that are the most ASMR-y are the sounds that ordinarily in regular television you try to cut out.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you're touching the microphone, you try to cut that out. Anything that seems like the person is like right next to you, you
Mm-hmm.
try to cut that out. So um I feel like I really had like a strong concept of, you know, how to make this happen, what works for ASMR. It's kind of like everything kind of came into place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said, at the time, nobody was doing it. Since then, all of a sudden, it kind of blew up on Twitch. So, you know, these bigger streamers that used to be doing something else started doing ASMR. So now it's kind of like, you know, it started to draw way more attention, um, and turn into this whole other thing. So,
So, are you affected by ASMR? Do you have like a trigger that is like,
um, I've noticed that, well, for me, I always used to watch something to fall asleep to. I
mm-hmm.
used to watch just regular television, um, something I've always done. So I started watching the YouTube role plays. So I think that's the thing that I relate the most to is just kind of an idea of having something playing that's not constantly trying to get your attention and keep you awake and watching, something that you're meant to fall asleep to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's, you know, ASMR, people don't realize this because ASMR is new and a lot of people who are doing it don't really have a concept of what it is. ASMR doesn't have to be quiet. It doesn't have to be something you fall asleep to. I've just noticed that this is, you know, this is kind of the style that I'm doing on Twitch is the kind that's just kind of like you're supposed to be studying to it or, you know, going about your day and like somewhat interacting, but it's not, you know, your main focus of whatever you're doing. It's kind of like a supplemental thing. I kind of tell people, think of it as, you know, I'm in the room with you there studying, you know. I'm also there doing my thing. So,
So there's two types of ASMR though. Well, it used to be on your channel, but I'm scrolling through and I'm like, I can't find it anymore. But you used to do, you can do both. You said at one time. Does that change now? Or are you like more specifically one set of ASMR, or is that just you just made it pretty for your Twitch channel?
um, I actually, I actually took that down because somebody like ripped off part of what I had written there, and it was like stuff that I didn't want to be associated with, so I took that down. But um, pretty much, I just talk about the two different types because um sometimes it's kind of more on the performance art side where I'm pretty much just sitting there and just manipulating objects in order to create a sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I try to do more often now is there'll be some object play, but I'm trying to make it more of a role play, more of a character that you're interacting with, and then the sounds are kind of like in between. So it can either be like completely focused on sound, where sound is the star and it's just about manipulating objects,
Mm-hmm.
or it can be like trying to bring somebody into a completely different world and showing like making it like an interactive, like a virtual reality experience.
Which great transition into the next thing here is your cosplaying and your role play. Um, so you role play your and cosplay, I guess, all in one, I guess. Your ASMRs. How do you? What is the best way I can describe this? How do you decide on what you're going to role play slash cosplay for that day, or how do you plan out the week? I guess.
Yeah. It's funny because when I first started, I made all of my costumes out of my regular clothes. So 90% of what I'm wearing or the characters that I am are stuff that I already had, and it just so happened that I could be like, okay, if I take this and I change this, then I can be this character. So a lot of times I'll take what I already have, and I do this with my props too. I take what I already have and I go, okay, how can I turn this into a thing?
Mm.
Um, since I started on Twitch, now I have kind of a fan base, and they have specific characters that they want to see occasionally. And, I'm up for almost anything. So, if there's a character and everybody's like, oh, do this one, then I'll end up doing different characters. So I've had a couple of costumes bought for me that I've worn on stream as well.
Very nice, very nice. So, is cosplaying something that you do? Would you do on your own? Like, would you go to like cosplay conventions, or would you cosplay and like just play video games one day, or is that just specifically for your ASMR role playing?
Um, I used to always dress up like the characters from whatever game I was playing too. So occasionally I'll do that as well. Like I'll cosplay whenever I have the outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So um like I'll dress up like Chloe when I play Life is Strange. Things like that. So
Very nice, very nice. And then of course the big question here: are you a hoarder? You have so much stuff. I mean, every day there's a whole. You have. I know you probably reuse a lot of props and people don't notice, and maybe I don't even notice most of the time. But you pull just all kinds of. I just can't even explain it. You would have to watch it because she's got chain. She's got just. I don't even know, tape and whips and
yeah.
floggers and paint
Yeah.
and brushes and
Yeah, I
cloth.
pretty much any household item can be a prop, can be something that you use to make different noises. So I try to have a bunch of props that are relevant to whatever role play I'm doing. Um I used a lot of my pop figures when I was pretending that I was like a girl working at Hot Topic, things like that. But I try to keep people guessing. So sometimes I'll borrow stuff from people too, just to keep people being like, wait, what? And then, the reoccurring themes that I do, because we keep going back to 1999. So I've been slowly growing all of my 90s props. So
Hmm.
now I have like a pretty good collection of 90s memorabilia stuff.
Very nice, very nice. Um, does Froggy roleplay at all, or ASMR?
He has. I think it just weirds people out. Everybody always wants to see him do it, but then when he does it for a little while, you're like, oh, okay. He definitely does better with the gaming. He needs to be gaming.
Makes sense. Everybody has their niche, so.
Yeah. Plus, having him whisper is actually the most difficult thing that he does. Like, and anything else that he's doing with his voice. Like he dressed up like it
Hmm.
for one of the series that we did. And doing his voice, the accent and that kind of thing for when he was it was easier than trying to have him whisper.
Makes
So
sense. Very much. So you're not a hoarder, though, just to be clear.
no.
Because people are probably like, why does he keep bringing that up? It's because we mentioned this beforehand. She said that people say this on stream a lot, so I try and cover the reoccurring
Yeah.
question there.
Yeah.
So this one actually goes out to the haters of your Twitch. I know you're like, oh god, here we go. The trolls and the haters always get some love too. We can't discriminate here. So
Yeah.
this really goes out to how do you deal with the people who come into your chat and yeah, I'm not just gonna say troll, but come in here, call you a Twitch thought, tell them, why are you doing here,
Mhm.
you gotta, why
Mm.
you need to sell your body, woo woo, all that jazz.
Yeah. It's funny because um for me, really, these people who are saying these negative things, they're not putting any time or effort into your stream.
Mm-hmm.
They come in and say these things right away. I think I really realized this when I started running VODs because, everybody all of a sudden started running VODs. So to be competitive, you have to too. And I would go into my VOD sometimes and people would be trash talking a computer. And that's when you really realize that, these comments have nothing to do with you. Like some days they'll, I'll get like opposite insults. They're just saying whatever they can to get under your skin. So most of the time I just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
If I can, sometimes I'll take whatever they've said and I try to pretend that it was something positive, that they take it in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, people are gonna say whatever they can to try to get under your skin. So the best thing is to just ignore it and try to not even read it. I mean, you can usually tell by the beginning of some sentences where it's going to go, or if somebody is like eventually going to like troll you, they're like testing the waters to see how much they can get away with. So there'll be people that I'm not even reading what they're saying to me, just because it happens so often that we're human.
Yeah.
You know, uh, even if you're, you know really positive like I try to be, just having negative after negative after negative can have a toll on you sometimes. So it's good to um, have checks and balances and to take care of yourself.
Days off always work, you know.
Yeah.
And mods help that, and so you
Yeah.
get that. Which leads me into the bigger question now, which is going to a broader aspect of Twitch here. The first thing is, everybody, well, people who want to get into streaming, they always ask, the streamer they enjoy, which I'm sure you get this sometimes, is, what are some things that they can do or should do if they want to be a successful Twitch streamer?
It's funny because the first thing I want to say is have a set schedule. Don't. So um oh, I know. Um you have to be different. A lot of people are doing the same thing. So you have to find out what it is about yourself that's different and try to showcase that as much as possible.
Hmm. Makes sense. And set schedule is one thing.
Yeah,
You're,
I gotta do that. I can't say that though because I
well,
don't even do it myself.
you're working on it, just be like it's a
Yeah.
work in progress there. Talking about Twitch and ASMR, we talked about this off stream, but you got some kind of rough news a little bit here with Twitch and how it's going to approach ASMR now. Did you want to go into detail about that just a little bit? What they decided on doing?
Um. I guess. Well, I mean, ASMR is gonna have its own category now. Which I guess we'll see what happens with that. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to that. I think it will prevent all the people coming in and being like, "What is ASMR?" But they're also getting rid of creative too. So um, I'm interested to see how that ends up panning out.
So you think it's a good change, bad change? You're unsure maybe right now.
It 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 really could go either way. I feel like, because it's like obviously any changes I'm nervous about, because it's like everything's so up in the air as a streamer. My job could be over tomorrow. You could get a your account could be banned and that's like the end of streaming for you, period. I mean, so there's always these unknown factors. But I mean, I think it'll be harder for certain categories I do, like when I do my dance nights or when I'm doing like a singing night, it'll be harder to find me under those categories. So
Couldn't you just
we'll
stay under IRL, or would they get you? Would that
IRL is
get you?
going to be gone. They're not even going to have IRL.
Oh, they're taking away IRL
They're taking it
completely.
away. They're taking away creative and IRL.
Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Which like a lot of people were already kind of concerned the creative category being its own category, and a lot of the creative people switched back over to IRL, even though technically they don't fit into that category because they
Well,
weren't getting any extra viewership.
well, yeah, that's because
So
Twitch's analytics and popularity, like you were saying, the groups and whatnot. So I know we kind of touched on this as you specifically as a streamer, but as a female streamer, do you think you have more challenges on Twitch or less challenges, or more opportunity, less opportunity?
um oh gosh.
I know the tough. This is
Yeah,
a tough
well,
question.
there's a lot of misconceptions about what it's like being a female streamer on Twitch. Um I think a lot of people need to look at their like streamers. So, I mean, if you're whatever game you're playing or whatever you're doing on Twitch, you're directly competing with the other people who are doing the same thing.
Hmm.
So, um, I think a lot of people assume that as if you're a girl, as soon as you turn on the camera, you're gonna have a bunch of people in your room and you're gonna have a big audience and you know and people think that it's easier to get started as a girl and that's not actually true. I think people take some of these I think they're just looking at specific female performers who have been at it for years. You
Hmm.
know, they've been at it for years. Some of them stream all day, every day. You
Hmm.
know, if you're a girl that's streaming all day, every day, yeah, you're going to have a bigger audience, you know? But I would say that everything that you do on Twitch, like, has an impact. So, anyone who has made it at all, what you see in front of you isn't all that there is. There's always, they're pushing themselves on Twitter, they're pushing themselves on other social platforms, they're doing all these other things. You don't just magically have people pop into your stream and, I mean, yeah.
No, no, that makes sense. But to continue on with Twitch, do you feel as a partner that Twitch gives you the ample opportunity to give you that push, that that Twitch is behind you as a company to get you
um
further further success?
I mean, maybe because I haven't been a partner for very long, but I
That's a no.
um I haven't been featured on the main page yet. I think that would make a difference for me.
And is there like a rotation, or do you request
I
to be
don't
on the
even
main
I
page?
think I have to contact whoever is in charge of me, but I don't know who's in charge of me. Like I even have to figure that out, I like have no idea.
Okay. And so, do you think Twitch as a company though is doing great, like growing? Because I know you said it's still a lot of people still don't know about Twitch. Do you,
Yeah. I think when Drake was on Twitch with Ninja, that made a huge difference.
hmm
Anytime um anytime there's like a controversy or some big promotional thing like that, like having, rappers and football stars on the channel, that's going to bring more people to the channel. So I think Twitch will continue to grow. And I think that ever since Amazon got involved, that's been a good thing because it's becoming more than just video games. Like, obviously, I got on Twitch to begin with because
Video games,
of
yeah.
my like gaming background, but I would not still be streaming on it if it weren't for these other avenues that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think they're starting to focus more on some really great artists. And there's people out there that, given the right exposure, there's really talented people out there. So if Twitch continues to, you know, invite more artists in and become more than just a gaming site, it has the potential to be as popular as like a YouTube.
Makes sense. I could see that. So as Twitch grows, one of the things that they implemented is this achievement system. Specifically, do you like the achievement system? I understand, it's the gaming aspect. Do you feel like those are goals that Twitch set that are realistic and also help you grow as a streamer? Because I know there's just, you know, they're achievements, but they're also goals that you can kind of shoot for.
They're they're the achievements were tricky for me because they introduced them after I had already hit a bunch of them. So,
Oh yeah.
but the achievements were especially good when I was trying to get to partner because it kind of lays out exactly what their expectations are.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, this is what I've got to do. Now I'm going to make a plan in order to get to this point. And I did make a plan and I followed through with it and it ended up working. So I think those do help. Um, but then after you're at the partner one, they have like other ones to encourage you to do different things. But it's not the same kind of like focused,
Yeah.
after that it's kind of like, unlocking extra achievements after you've already like beaten the game or something.
Yeah, makes
So
sense. Makes sense. So, on the achievement aspect of things, what are your thoughts as a partner about the affiliation program?
um the affiliation program I really don't know that much about because it was like they rolled it out and I was already an affiliate as soon as it came out and like I wasn't even ready for it, and then it's like around that same time was when I was going for partner. So um I don't really know too much about it, honestly.
Do you think it's a good opportunity for people who are just starting out then? Like, it's a,
Oh
let's,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I think um I think you should have, I mean, I guess it makes sense that you have to show intent to continue,
mhm.
so you can't just start up a channel and be automatically affiliated. So I guess it kind of gives you certain goals. And I don't think the goals are, unrealistic by any means.
Yeah.
Having three people watch you at a time, like, I feel like that is something that you should strive to get to,
Yeah.
you know?
Makes
So, but it's been nice though, because I've noticed a lot of my friends who haven't made it to partner yet, now they have emotes, and that that made a big difference. My first emote was Froggy,
mhm.
and it does help promote your channel to have these different opportunities, and I think it does encourage more people to sub to you. So,
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, to kind of backtrack, I kind of missed this. I didn't even think about this. But focusing more on your channel here, and you talked about consistency when it comes to streaming. Is there a schedule or set schedule that you have? I know I'm looking at your stream here, and it seems like you just you stream every day according to this. But
Yeah, no.
I know that is probably not true because like you said, everybody needs a break, everybody needs a day off. So I'm sure there's one day where you're like, all right, this is mental day, or all right, this day. But do you have a set schedule or times that you usually stream?
No, no. Like when I was going for partner, I was always doing like the same hours for a while.
Hmm.
But those hours were like kind of they ended up being like way more early into the morning, and I've been trying to slowly get back onto like the human schedule. So, and I mean, the biggest reason why the set schedule is so important is because you'll have a lot of people during those times. And then if you're streaming during your off times, it's like you're rebuilding the audience for those other times.
Hmm.
So,
So 5 years down the line, hypothetical question here. 5 years down the line, Twitch is still a thing. Where do you see yourself with Twitch?
gosh, well, hopefully I've grown. Hopefully I've grown. I would love to say that I'll be as popular as like Dr. Disrespect or Ninja or whatever. But I mean, I think I don't I think if I could have anything, my goal would be to continue to grow, and the biggest thing for me is to continue to improve my shows. So, you know, as I'm getting donations, I put all my money into my equipment,
Hmm.
and I feel like I'll always be like that. So let's pretend that I continue growing. So 5 years from now, I would probably have like, I wouldn't live here anymore. I'd give myself like an actual amount of room to stream, and and I would have other people working for me. I'd like other characters on my show. I'd like to interact with people. I'd like to do live, stage shows if I can.
Hmm.
Kind of have a variety show, puppets, I mean, musical numbers. These are all elements that I kind of do a little bit here and there. But I feel like, 5 years from now, hopefully I have like a format and, at this time, all of a sudden it's the SomaGreen show. And I come out and sing a musical number, and then we do a skit, and then it's like an old school, like 70s variety show.
That'd be very, very interesting, cool because it's like it's taking TV, but you're streaming it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think I always try to strive to make my shows more like a television show, to have kind of the format of television. Um, and you kind of fight with that a little bit because on Twitch it's a lot of times more about quantity than quality.
hmm,
So you have to kind of find a good balance where you're on enough, but you want to always be making content that you would watch.
yeah,
Like I don't want to be boring. I don't want to stream something I wouldn't watch. So constantly finding all new things. It's like all I do is work. All I do is think about what I'm going to do next. Like this is what I'm doing when I'm not streaming. I'm thinking, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next?
hmm. I mean, if you were to become like as popular as Dr. Disrespect or somebody, I would be like, look at I interviewed her. Can you believe this? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's gloating for both of us in a way.
Hopefully.
But now that you bring up an interesting point, this is probably the last thing we'll talk about Twitch. But you talk about television and making your shows more like television. Do you think TV is a dying thing?
I think I think the current format of TV, or the current way that we're receiving television, is dying, but I think the actual like television production, I think those shows will transition into internet shows. Um this is something I've seen coming, you
Hmm.
know. The internet is the future of entertainment. Um and a lot of jobs in the television industry, are, aren't, you know, um, they're just getting rid of a bunch of people, and everything's being downsized. So I think it's a really exciting thing for television, because I feel like on the internet, it's more about who's watching it. So we're going to find more personalized television. Whereas right now, television is just so broad and they're just trying to reach everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I think television will ultimately become better once it's kind of evolved into being online.
Makes sense. Then, see, then you'll be ahead of the game because you'll be like, I've been doing this for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everything's easier. Like, once how formatted TV is, it makes it a lot easier. It's like an outline.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever you write a book, you want to have an outline.
Yeah.
You don't want to just start writing. Who knows where it's going to go? So I know that's some people's process, but it's for me, it's like I like to know what I'm going to do. Like every night even when I'm doing my ASMR, I have my props set out and I know what props I'm going to use.
You just have
like occasionally I'm just winging it, but
You just have like 20,000 pieces of like storyboard paper, and you're just like, okay, let's plan this week out. And just writing down in the boxes. People are like, what is he talking about? If you ever took a TV class or I guess a radio class, there's these. It's like a sheet, and there's boxes, and each box is like a little story of what you want to tell as the big story. Kind of break it down. And different shots you can do, and all this stuff. Anyway, that's TV. That's TV. Anyway. You've made it through. You did the hard part. You made it through the interview. Are you excited?
Cool.
Now the second hardest part comes, is the rapid fire questions. This is where they're supposed to be rapid fire, but then you say something, and I'm like, oh my god, really? And then we go on a huge tangent about that. So they're supposed to be rapid fire, but don't worry, they're not so rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, first question. Hamburger or hot dogs?
Hamburgers.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Favorite ice cream?
Cookie dough.
Okay. Pizza or Chinese food?
Pizza.
Favorite pizza?
Cheese.
Pirates or ninja? Or ninjas, I should say.
Ninjas.
Early bird? Oh, I already know this one. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
I was going to say, if you said early bird, I would be really confused right now. World of Warcraft or RuneScape?
Wow.
Anime or cartoons?
Cartoons. Oh,
no.
People are going to get so pissed at me about that.
No internet or no cell phone?
I always have to have internet. I don't care about my cell phone. Don't call me.
But you can connect Discord and all this other stuff to your phone,
Well, that's still internet, though. True. I mean, everything I use on my phone is just internet, so. Like, whenever I get like an actual phone call, I always freak out because it's like, I always assume it's an emergency because that's the only time that I get a phone call, so.
So no cell phone, really?
Yeah, no cell phone.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Harry Potter.
This one's, what do you call it? Soda or pop?
Soda.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek. Everyone hates me again.
Are you? Do you consider yourself a Trekkie, or you just said one? Because
yes,
you're a Trekkie.
I am. Yes.
Are you excited that I guess Picard?
I've seen every episode of Star Trek except for some of the Quantum Leap season. I stopped watching that one, but I've seen every episode of Star Trek ever.
Wow, my mind is blown right now. I would have never known that. Are you excited that Picard is coming back as your...
I did see that. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. I'm really excited about it, though. Just because... I don't know. It's weird because I think, like, Picard is the captain that everyone who wasn't in love with William Shatner Like that's the captain that usually people relate to the most. For me, it's Janeway, obviously. But you know, I'm interested to see what happens with that. I like the newest season, the character Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. I love her.
But people are like, I mean, your Trekkies are there. They got you. No worry. Uh, Pokemon or Digimon?
Pokemon.
Favorite Pokemon?
Oh, no. Jigglypuff.
Really?
Yes.
Is there a reason why?
Because Jigglypuff sings people to sleep.
Oh, is that the only reason you pick?
Yes. Yes. Yes,
I,
it is.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone, because I've only ever had an iPhone.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow, damn. That was quick. You made it through. There was not too much there. There's probably a fire engine that you can hear just rolling through, but that's fine. We'll keep going with that. You made it through the rapid fire questions. You made it through the two tough parts now. This is your time to shine, Soma. I'm going to give you the floor. You're going to shout out whatever you want. Thank you, sponsors, your mods, whatever you want. I'll give you the floor, and I'll come back when you're all
I don't
done.
have any sponsors yet.
Whatever you want to shout out. Some people took this really serious. Some people will shout out stuff that aren't even sponsored to
Okay.
them. So
Okay.
all
You
ears.
know what I'm. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Froggy.
Let me turn on
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Froggy. I definitely think you should check out Soma's show, but the best part of her show is probably me. Yep. Watch me game. Follow me. Yeah.
That was wonderful. That was beautiful.
There you go.
Oh man. Uh, so there you guys have it. You have SomaGreen here. Go give her a follow. All our links will be down below. All my links will be down below. We're up there, one of the two. There's Froggy for you. He made a special appearance just here in the interview. Once again, thank you, Soma. I couldn't do this without you, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.